Chapter.
Sit down. Dakota.
I'll sell you.
Hello and welcome to Science. I am Dave Mankoff.
I am Brett Kaminsky.
Andrew Lipinski.
That's your.
And we are sciencing it up today. How y'all
You
doing?
were expecting 3 guys, 1 cup. Go get a beer, sit back, and learn something.
Yeah, we're going to learn some stuff
Get
today.
knowledge-fied.
Yeah. With us today, we have John Zeller on the horn here. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Thanks.
Why don't you explain a little bit about yourself to us?
Who are you?
Yeah. Who are you and why are you on our screen?
Who am I? It's a good question. That's a good question. I've been looking for that answer myself.
It's very existential.
My name is John Zeller. I'm currently a student at Oregon State University, and I am the founder and executive director of Space Advocates, which is a nonprofit organization I founded last year that runs a campaign you may all know about called Penny4NASA.
Very familiar with it. I think I've followed it on Twitter and liked it on Facebook like a long, long time ago in a galaxy far away.
Excellent.
Pretty much everything you guys post, I hit like on. So
As you
Great.
should.
I love it.
or retweet.
So why don't
Retweets are good.
Why don't we talk a little bit about what your hang on, I'm just muting something here. Okay. What's the premises behind Pennies for NASA and all that fun stuff?
Well, Penny4NASA, so I'll bring you back to kind of the beginning. Penny4NASA was started in March of 2012. And I started the Penny4NASA campaign. It kind of was inspired by a video that I saw floating around online somewhere in the mid-month in March last year. And it was the recording of Neil deGrasse Tyson at the U.S. He was at the U.S. Congress testifying.
You can just call him the man. That's fine with us.
Right,
The
the man was testifying at, I think it was the U.S. Senate Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation on the future of the National Space Program. And he was talking about all the different positives about NASA and what we get from it, why we should fund it, what's been happening over the last 50 years. And one of the things that he said during his testimony really struck a chord with me. He more or less, and I'm paraphrasing, he more or less said, you know, we spend half a percent on NASA, which is half a penny on the dollar. If we rose that to 1 whole percent or 1 penny on the dollar, if we were bold, we did that. Think about how much we could do. That doubles NASA's budget, but it's still only 1% of the national budget. And that really hit a chord with me. And I initially went online to look for more about it, and I saw Penny4NASA all over Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't see a centralized organization around it. And so many different hashtags kind of come and go for causes or for just stupid stuff that's happening on Twitter. But I
Pony
realized
2012.
right, there you go.
Oh, remember that?
That came and went quick.
Right, it did. But I haven't gone and run around naked in San Francisco yet. So.
Not yet. But you will.
No, I realized that it needed a centralized organization built around it or it was going to die pretty quickly. So all on the same day, I got penny4nasa.org set up and online. It was a really, really terrible website, but it was there. And we got the Facebook, Twitter, and Google Plus accounts set up, and also a petition on change.org that was asking for the United States government to double NASA's budget.
Wow.
Over the last, God, what is it now, like 14 months, 15, 16 months even, a lot has changed. We got to a certain point where we decided that Penny4NASA by itself was an amazing campaign, but in order to be brought to the table to talk about all different issues, space and science, we needed a nonprofit organization to wrap around the name. So Space Advocates was born, and that is now the official nonprofit organization that wraps the Penny4NASA campaign, and we're going to be launching a lot of other campaigns in the future. Right now, we're in the process of filing our 501c3 application. We should hopefully be a registered 501c3 by sometime in early 2014.
Now, you don't have any conservative ties, do you? You don't have to worry about being audited by the IRS unjustifiably?
Right. No, I don't know. I heard that they were supposed to be cleaning that up, though.
So I want to go back to one quick point that I just am flabbergasted on. So currently NASA's budget is 0.5%.
Not even actually.
All a little bit less,
It's
right?
0.4 of 1 penny.
It's about 0.48% if we want to get super exact.
We do. Yeah, this is science.
Significant figures.
So 0.48% of the whole entire budget for the United States government, correct? Which is
0.48.
which is that'd be like what's 100% of the budget? How much money is that?
Several $1 trillion.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Right. And there's actually been a lot of polls that have been out there, not just like MSNBC.com poll,
Which
like
is scientific,
actually,
of course.
right,
Totally.
scientifically done polls with I can't even remember the name of the national polling institutions right
Gallup.
now, but
Gallup is a
right,
big
yeah.
one.
And some of these different polls that have been done, one of the questions that they've asked, which I thought was particularly insightful, was, what do you think NASA gets as a percentage of the national budget?
Mm-hmm.
And on average, people respond anywhere between 10 and 20%.
Yeah,
that's
that's
what
what
they
I thought.
think NASA is
I would
getting.
curl up in a ball and die or have myself
Happiness,
frozen in like carbonite and just be like, okay, when can I sign up for Starfleet?
Honestly, I would
Right,
too,
exactly.
because how important. I mean, look at what NASA's given us. I don't think people realize exactly what NASA's done for
Honestly,
the world.
one of the best sites for that is whatthefucknasa.com.
I'm gonna go
And
to it right now.
I think it's WTFNASA.com, and you just hit a button and it tells you all the stuff that's been invented from NASA, like originally NASA inspired projects.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, like here what I just pulled up
I
on
think
this site.
Bondo is one of them.
Yeah, no, they did create
Bondo.
something
I
like
did
that.
hear
that.
Like grooves in pavement, which led to safer driving and airplane takeoffs. Like they did that. What do you click on? Fail to launch.
Yeah,
To keep going.
It's like
Okay.
I don't believe.
Let's see another thing they did. They developed a parachute system which is capable of lowering small aircraft safely to the ground. They saved 246 lives by that. Let's do one more. Develop a helicopter rotor that lasts twice as long, reduce noise by 40%.
I think it was
enhances-
something with Hubble that it affected LASIK surgery or something.
Yes, there was something with that they improved LASIK surgery.
Yeah, it's all kinds of craziness.
Like they've done so much that people, not just Tang and Tempur-Pedic, like
Yeah.
they've done way more than those two things. Because that's when I did a little mini poll at work, and I asked like, what do you think NASA's done? And that's all I heard was Tang and Tempur-Pedic. That's all people know.
Space pen.
Space pen.
Yeah, exactly. Which is pencil.
The Russians
they
used the
spent
pencil, but
yeah,
we
right.
used the space
We
pen.
spent millions of dollars on the pen, yeah, to write upside down. And it's flabbergasting that like not even 0.5% technically of the America's budget, which is a massive amount of money, is going towards this research and development, which is very, very key to how America got to where they are now. Like why we are so successful is because of the technological base and the research and development of just pouring money into it. And it's terrifying that they're not. Like what could we be doing? We could have had a lot of stuff by now.
Honestly, I watch that congressional hearing speech with Neil Tyson on YouTube at least once a week, just because it's so inspiring. And when he gets that like angry, I'm so passionately angry about it. I just feel inspired and want to like go build a rocket.
Right.
Don't come to my house,
Right,
NSA, but I want to just go build a rocket. And it's like there's a reason that this is important. Space is the next frontier. This
Right.
is something that should be developed heavily.
And I feel like a lot of people know that, but I don't think they realize that they're not like. What was that stat I was trying to think of? Maybe you'll know, John, of how much we spend in the military, like
It's
daily,
several
in-
$100 billion.
Yeah, and like if they could just
It's quite a bit. There's
go ahead.
I think that the national defense budget, or not. Okay, so when you talk about defense is a very
broad.
all-encompassing word, and there's a lot of budgets that kind of get rolled into it. So generally speaking, the DoD budget, and I'm hoping that I'm not getting this incredibly wrong, but it's around $800 billion. Sorry, $800 billion a year.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I've heard
and
too.
that's about 20% of the national budget, which is also about as much as we spend on Social Security. So when you look at that compared with what NASA's getting, it's pennies. I mean, literally, it's tiny.
And that's terrifying because
It's pretty terrifying, especially when you start to think about how the U.S. defense budget, there's pros and cons to that, right? Like we obviously need a defense budget of some kind.
Right.
And there's pros and cons to it being so high. But when you start to look at the fact that NASA's 50-year budget is about what the Defense Department gets every single year.
Wow.
One of the things
Then
he
you start
said
to
in
really
that
question it.
one of those
That's
things that he
insane.
said in that speech is that the bailout, or it was a separate speech thereafter, was that the entire bank bailout was greater than the entire 50-year running budget of NASA.
Right.
Oh my
With
God.
that money, we put rovers, 3 different rovers on Mars, satellite orbiting Mars. We
Went to
put
the
the
moon.
man on the moon. We've got Hubble. We've got Kepler. We've got John Webb telescope, which launches 2016, I think. And that
It might be 2018.
yeah, the space shuttles. Yeah, they keep delaying that one, but
But we've done a lot of like big things. You know, not that necessarily.
huge things.
And like things that have really, really helped us, not just Tang and Tempur-Pedic, but we've done things that
What's with the T's, by the way?
that's what they said at work. We were like, NASA's only done T things. But you know, those are the 2 things that you think of, and it's like, no, they've done so many things that
Telescopes.
exactly. Like, look at the. You're just trying to think of more T's.
Yes, I am.
Like they just have done so much that like, why can't we cut other things? Like not necessarily. I mean,
Social
parts-
Security, cut it.
No, that's a difficult thing to do. That would really fuck
Obamacare,
over.
cut.
Right, and that's the problem. If you want to actually talk about what it is that you need to do, because let's face it, we're in a pretty tight fiscal situation at the moment, and it's not
Right.
quite as bad as it was in 2008 and in 2009, when we were really hitting the bottom
Right, we were scraping
of
the
our
barrel.
woes. But still, when you go to look at the things you want to cut, then you start getting into a lot of argument about, well, this thing's important, that thing's important, and people lose sight of the fact that NASA's done amazing things and that it is very tangible. When it starts getting into the penny pinching in that way, they forget that NASA has returns that come 5, 10, 20, 30 years down
And
the
they've
road
done so much
that you
with
can't
that
just-
limited budget.
NASA's ROI is just through the roof.
Yes.
In comparison to everything else that the government has
That's
ever
return on
attempted to do.
investment for those of you at
Well,
home.
if it wasn't
Sorry.
for NASA, we wouldn't have be able to do MRIs or CAT scans,
Right, they've developed the technology a lot more, and that has like directly saved people's lives.
and we wouldn't have artificial limbs.
Yes, because they help process those, right?
Yeah.
They've done so, and it's flabbergasting that we're not spending more on them, that we can't find. You know, it always reminds me of like in schools when they cut schools budgets, that you're like, you know, we can't find money elsewhere for important things in schools. Like you have to cut this and that. Like it's as frustrating, just on a grander level.
Yeah.
And it's always the first thing that is cut is always the music programs first.
Yes.
Like
Music and art.
Art.
Yes.
And then they'll go from there.
Yes, and you're like, no, those are like really necessary. You know, I mean,
Absolutely.
you know, it's just like that's terrifying that kids are not getting
Inspire
taught that.
creativity.
Yes, and like
it's like they want to do away with it.
that's kind of what they're doing with NASA. Is they're kind of just pinching them off, giving them such a low amount. When you compare it to something that is so important based on other things, that you're like, why don't they have 1% or 2%?
NASA, hands down, is the most important government-run agency, without question to me. There's no other thing that produces as much, inspires as much. One of the quotes that he says in that testimony, I actually Facebook posted it the other day because it was awesome, and I forgot to put the context of what it was, and somebody thought I was saying it to somebody at one of our managers at work. She thought it was like a good shot at them. I'm like, it has nothing to do with work. Let me pull it up. Crap, internet's being slow. We're taking up a ton of bandwidth.
We
here.
are, but it's just like it just baffles my mind that we're not spending more on something that let's like it'd be like as if we had a cure for cancer and they were like, nah, we don't really want to spend money for it. Not that, you know, it's just something that is just so, you know, it's just so like what do I want to say? It's just so like, come on, what the fuck are we doing? Like throw a little bit more money their way.
Well, it's very greedy. I mean, the way everybody sees it is if it's not making money, it's not a good investment, and that's not a good way to look at it.
Exactly, and it's like, you know, you have this potential gold mine. Like, where's the next gold rush in technology for NASA that they could come on and just do all this really, really cool stuff? I just can't believe. Like when I heard that, I was like, what? Like what the fuck? You know, because I heard Penny4NASA, and then Brett was telling me more about it. Like I got more angry at the government for not supporting it
Well,
more.
I think one of the things he says in that Neil Tyson says in that speech is if you were to cut into the dollar the amount of the like an actual U.S. $1 bill, if you were to cut into it the amount of money that NASA actually gets, you wouldn't even hit the ink.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
And the quote is, if you want to build a ship, don't drum up people to collect wood and don't assign them tasks and work, but rather teach them to long for the endless immensity of the sea.
Right.
That's where that came from.
Yes.
Yeah. And even though I pointed out, the hilariousness of that in that post, it's still exactly, John. It's like,
You're a captain. They build a ship, you sail it.
yeah,
Then you become a pirate
That's
and rule
what
the
I
sea. It's awesome.
and mermaids, dude. But
Yeah.
like the message behind there is still correct. It's still very, very important that we have that. Like look at what they've done, and it's like it doesn't make any sense that they don't have that budget. I know that we have, I'll just say it. We have the whole terrorism stuff. We have the whole. We were very, trying to protect ourselves and protect
That's
the
just the
Americas.
thing. We live in a culture of fear instead of a culture of inspiration.
Very much so.
Right. Exactly. So. How do we change that? And it's kind of I feel
This
like
guy right
yeah,
here.
exactly. This guy.
We'll
Mr.
see.
Mr. Freeman from Half-Life here is
You
the
do.
guy. Yeah.
Actually, you look a lot like Gordon Freeman.
Have you ever played Half-Life? I know you're a young kid, but have you ever played Half-Life?
He's 24.
Of course I have.
Yeah. You look like Gordon Freeman.
Brings another
like
definition of
holy
playing.
shit. I didn't notice it until this guy showed me the picture. He was like flashed up. He's like, look at, holy shit.
Also, goatees for the win. That's all I gotta say.
Right.
I wish I could grow a goatee. But
I
You
also
wish you could be a man.
Goatee.
I wish I could too. But and that's like, we need that to just make people. I think if you make more people aware of that budget, like me, completely change my mind of like, wait, they only get 0.5%. That's bullshit. Let's change that.
What's awesome too is actually our local congressman, Hultrigan. It actually is on the Science, Technology, and Commerce Committee. He's like the chair of the committee or something like that in Congress. And he's
really?
always tweeting stuff about space and technology and NASA hearings and stuff at Congress.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Because we actually have Fermilab is literally like the Tevatron probably runs underneath my house. Like I am that close to, like, I go across the street and I can be in Fermilab.
That's true. It's right up the street.
Yeah, it's really close here.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, John. Now that we know that their budget is very low and we all feel we should increase it, how can we go about increasing it besides awareness?
Well, so this is something that comes up quite a bit. Sometimes we get emails from people and questions from people asking, okay, so you're this organization that's taking money, taking donations, I should say.
Give me your money.
Why don't we just donate that money to NASA? That would be great, right? Like, I would totally give money to NASA. Me as well. I would do that as well. But when you think about the fact that there are 300 million people in the United States, only 200 million of them are registered voters. Only about 95 million of them vote. And if you had the best fundraiser in U.S. history, you might get 1% of that 95 million people. You would have 1.5 million people. If you wanted to even get close to the budget that NASA has every single year, you would have to have something on the order of, like, I don't even know.
What is NASA's budget?
NASA's budget is $17.7 billion a year.
Wow.
That's insane how much they can get done with that.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Like that. I mean, that's
some fucking awesome accounting.
It is.
That's
It is a
what
lot of
that
money,
is.
but I feel like they've grown under the pressure.
Oh yeah. Well, then the shuttle program going away kind of adds some savings to it. Although for the fact that they pay $60-some million to Russia for a seat on the Soyuz capsule. So
yes,
Soyuz.
So,
Soyuz
but
capsule.
they have used their funds.
Just to be clear.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, just to be clear, I ran the numbers on that too. Like, if you were to get 9.5 million people to donate the money, they would all need to give roughly $1,900 to match the budget that we have now.
See, what they need to allow, and I'm not an accountant. I work in advertising. I'm smart. I'm not this smart, but we need to figure out a way for people to delegate how much of their tax dollars they want going to programs.
We could. I think that the bigger issue is actually finding a way to have this. It needs to be legislated, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Oh,
this
yeah,
can't
totally.
this can't be a fundraising type of a situation. If we are actually going to give NASA the money that they deserve, it can't be some skirting issue on donating money that we have or checking a box on your tax return, which all of that stuff, that's great. And the sentiment more than anything means a lot. Mm-hmm. But if we're really going to get to the to the goals that we need to get to, we need to stop screwing around and actually make the legislation that gives them at least 1% of the budget every time.
Right, you go after the root of the problem.
Right, and moreover, a big thing that they need to move to, which we advocate for, is a multi-year budget cycle.
Oh,
one of the problems that NASA runs into that isn't necessarily a problem at other federal agencies is that they have projects that run 5, 10, or 20 years. More than that, we have the Voyager spacecraft that are just now leaving the solar system have been going since 1977.
I want to correct you on that, though. They've said they've been leaving the solar system now for a year and a half. So it has left the solar. Wait, no, I'm sorry, not quite yet. The magnetic fields did not shift just enough to necessitate them leaving the heliosphere.
There's no way that we would have known that if it weren't for the fact that they were there. But yeah, the cycle needs to change. The legislation needs to be there, and the only way that we can do that is by advocating and getting our congresspersons to actually do what they need to do to make it happen.
You know what? Actually, before I forget, I want to play a shortened clip of Neil Tyson, a clip of that speech. The "What would you give for the universe?" I will fight YouTube on that one. So,
yeah, just send it to me and I'll play it on the on air here. So you know. Is there a way that we can contact legislation and kind of like, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. If you go to the Penny4NASA website, we actually have the software on our website for you to write a letter to Congress, and it will send that letter that you write to every single member of Congress for you. You have 3 typically. You have 2 representatives and a senator. That's not always the case, but that's in general. And what this software will allow you to do is actually write it, and then they'll guarantee the service that we go through is called Popbox, and they will guarantee that letter gets to that congressperson.
That's awesome.
And that is one of the reasons that we go with them.
Right, I'm showing it up on the feed now. The site here that there's a take action button that is there to do this, and I'm going to do it right now while we're in there. I'll do it right now because it's
do it.
You know,
do it.
It's just flabbergasting that. You know, they haven't been aware of this. You know, I bet that many congressmen don't even know the budget of NASA. You know, so I bet that
probably not.
I feel like the more people,
Sad.
this is one of the things that, yeah, exactly. The more people you make aware of that, that's how you get things done. Is that it'll just through, you know, almost like osmosis, it'll just get through people and just spread, you know, hopefully like wildfire for people to be like, whoa, NASA doesn't have that much money. What? So
throwing money at the screen.
Exactly. You know, and. And this is the thing, is like I understand the difference with donating to Pennies4NASA, you know, is not donating money to NASA. You know, like that's important to keep in mind. It's
an ad campaign.
Exactly. It's almost exactly. You're more like an advocate for NASA
we're a space advocacy organization.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's like what you said. The wraparound group is that, you know, you see where the puck is going. You see what you guys what should be happening in a lot of this stuff, and they just need a little bit more money, and I think that you're right. I think that NASA just needs a bit more money, a little bit more of a budget to progress, to keep, you know, everybody, not just America. I can't even say America anymore, the whole world. You know what I mean? Because everybody benefits from stuff like that. It's become like a global economy in that, you know? And I feel like a lot of other countries are getting ahead of us, you know, in some of their advances because they're throwing a little bit more money the way of some of the science stuff like that. And that we, you know, potentially could fall behind, which hopefully wouldn't happen. Hopefully we can keep up with the forefront, you know?
Absolutely.
Well, and until the day that happens that China says they're sending people to Mars or the moon, we'll be on Mars in 9 months. It's that simple. There's no military advantage. It's the higher ground. As soon as Russia scaled back their program, we immediately did the same.
Right.
There's no military advantage to it.
Exactly.
And one thing is to, like, we shouldn't. So definitely, the last space race was military driven. There's no question about that. But we've gotten to a place in our society where NASA doesn't exist for that reason anymore.
No.
They were birthed out of the Cold War, but then found new meaning. There was actually suddenly this realization among everybody involved that they were involved in something a lot more than just beating the Russians. And it would be, I think we owe it to ourselves as a species to do it for the reasons that are already there, rather than inventing new superpowers to try and go topple. One thing too to keep in mind, on a different note, we have people that contact us once in a while. I've been meaning to write something up on this, but we have people that contact us once in a while and seem to be confused as to the difference between private and civic, like private and public space exploration, where public being NASA, private being SpaceX, Virgin Galactic, and like
Blue Horizons.
we have people that we have people that come up and say, help save NASA, like these private companies are trying to destroy them, and then vice versa, like why are we giving money to NASA? Just let SpaceX do it. What people don't realize is that these two regions of space exploration are very, very, very intertwined. SpaceX would not be around if it wasn't for NASA, and NASA would not have a U.S.-based capability to get supplies to the International Space Station if it wasn't for SpaceX.
Yeah, it's a very much a symbiotic relationship.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that one of the things that needs to change too, for us to start going into this new era of space exploration, and this is already happening, which I'm very, very pleased to see, is that NASA needs to get back to its roots in focusing on science, planetary science, exploration, and not the remedial jobs of low Earth orbit. Which remedial, it's still really,
Boldly
really
going
freaking
where
hard,
hundreds
right?
have gone before.
Right, absolutely. And it's not to say that NASA is doing the wrong thing, but it is to say that they've figured out how to do it. They laid the ground ahead, and now companies can pick up the slack and do that. And that's exactly what we've been doing. That's exactly what the Obama administration has put out funding to make possible with the COTS program, to be able to give money to these organizations to develop the technology so that they can actually provide these services. And being able to do that is going to be extremely valuable going forward.
And it is very important. And I feel like if they just get the word from, if Congress just gets the word that people are very interested in this, they might consider it more. You know, I feel like they could even just 1%, like half an increase in percentages is nothing. You know, it really is.
In the grand scheme of things, 1% is nothing.
Right. And shouldn't the science R&D of a country as big as the United States, shouldn't it be at least 1% for our science? Like, it just seems so crazy that it'd be like if they had like education was like 0.5%. Like, you're just like, oh, you guys you're not even trying. You know, like, come on, you know. And this is like it's like the same idea.
We have this culture of intelligence being ridiculed in this country, and it's a big problem. You're not cool if you're not or if you're intelligent, you're outcasted.
Which I feel like is changing. I feel like
I agree. It's starting to change.
In our generation, it started, and for sure, like in John's generation, I'm a couple years older than you, of course, but you know, you guys are really coming up intelligent. The internet, for sure, has made you intelligent. It's given you the power. It's given you the ability to.
Well, to be fair, it's made a lot of people stupid too.
It has. That's the flip side. Yeah, devil's advocate. It has. But I notice a lot of people in the generation previous to mine, or I'm sorry, in the younger generation to mine, that they're way smarter than we were at that time. You know, like they're sharper. They're more apt to challenge some things. They're more apt to be like, hey, this is bullshit, or they realize something's unfair and maybe do something.
Where'd you find these kids? Because all the kids that I see are fucking retarded.
No, there are a lot of those. But I've actually seen a few that are patients of mine at work that it's weird that you're way smarter than most adults I know in their 40s and 50s. Like, you're sharper in some of this stuff and more considerate.
That's why I'm convinced there is a such thing as a genetic memory.
Yes, exactly.
I've seen 3-year-old kids work wonders on a PC, and I just go, what? Like, I'm really technologically smart, and I see some like my little cousins and stuff that do stuff on the computer. I'm like, how the hell do you know how to do it? And they go, I don't know, and they just like go into town on the. I saw one kid defrag a computer. I'm like, how do you even know what defrag is?
Exactly, and that's why it's so important. And I think that, like, you know, I mean, you're what, 24, right, John?
Right.
Okay, so you know you're still very, very young, and you know it's good that you've started this whole organization. Like, how many people at 24 have started something so major like this and so big and have a nice website and have it connected? And you know, the ability to do that is way easier than it used to be, but you've still put in the work. You've still done so much of the groundwork to get your name out there and get your word out there.
He's a groundling, if you will.
He is a groundling, exactly. And I know, you know, like Brett has been really passionate and excited about this when he was explaining it to us and everything like that.
I'm a space nerd.
You are
first
very much
and
a space
foremost. I don't know a lot about a lot of things, but space is one thing that has always captured my imagination. I just don't have the attention span to go to school for it.
It's-
And I feel like a lot of people are sharper. A lot of kids, are sharper than average now, and are maybe more intelligent. You know what I mean? Or at least we have the ability to fact check extremely quickly with the internet in our hands.
Bullshit meters are like up 1,000%.
Yes, and you
Google.
can't exactly. You can't let people can't get away with stuff by saying things like that anymore as much as they used to be able to. So it's very, very good that it makes people much more powerful
On things that are easy to check anyway.
on most things that are
Right.
easy to check. Yeah, I mean sometimes there can be a little bit of misinformation, of course, and stuff like that, and it can go awry. But I've been impressed a lot. Like we had the Safe Sci-Fi guy on when he was 19 years old.
Oh, yeah, Michael Doherty.
Like it impresses the fuck out of me. And it makes me happy that there's a lot of people, like the younger generation's getting better and better, and will only improve.
I think that it's kind of it's a testament giving people the ability to teach themselves, and they're going to do it.
Yes.
There was recently actually this is somewhat off the topic of space, but it's SCIENCEEE. The
Perfect for us then.
the media lab at MIT, they do all kinds of really awesome research, and one of the things that they did over the last couple of years, and I can't remember exactly when it happened, so you should go check it out and let people know. But they did some they did some research where they basically took 300 tablets and they dropped them in a village that had no education. They found specific villages where not only did the kids not go to school, but their parents were not educated and were not literate, didn't know how to read or write, let alone speak English. And they dropped these tablets in the town. No instructions, no people to explain what the tablets did or how to use them. But what they did have on the tablets was tracking software so that they could actually see how the tablets were being used. And they distributed these throughout the different villages. There was about 300 tablets in all. And then they went back later and picked up the software and analyzed it. And what they found was after about 4 seconds, the first child had figured out how to turn on the tablet. After a couple of weeks, there were children singing the ABCs around the centers of their villages, and within 6 months, some of the kids had figured out how to hack into the system to enable the camera and things like that. And this is all without being able to read. This is all without being able to do any of this stuff.
Wow.
But
Yeah, I see
They
this.
rooted the tablets in 6 months.
I
they
That's
didn't root
impressive.
the tablet.
Oh,
but-
okay. I was gonna say,
So
holy
when they
crap.
hack it, it's
They
it's-
did,
it's
yeah, I'm
probably
looking
a
at
pretty
it.
liberal usage of the word.
One boy learned a lot of English on his own with it, and opened up Paint and was painting the word lion and doing higher cognitive function that they never spoke English before, and nobody showed them, but they figured it out themselves. That is really, really crazy. I actually have the story up here. I looked it up really quick too, because I kind of know how to use the internet as well. But that is actually really crazy that they did that. Wow.
It's a perfect. I think that the hypothesis of the experiment was that you don't need to have teachers to be able to teach. That people can actually teach themselves if you give them the tools to do so.
Right, for some things like that.
Right.
That's nice that you can have this internet out there to support. That's really crazy that these kids learn this. They learned basic some English words pretty much on their own. No one was showing them, and
Well, they didn't even have the internet. Imagine if they did.
yeah, exactly. Imagine they'd be talking to everybody. They'd be talking to us. We'd have an Ethiopian kid out
Right,
here
yeah.
with one of these laptops, and we'd be able to
Yeah.
talk to him. That is insanely cool. Just very, very cool to see that how that to me shows you how powerful technology is and how smart we as humanity can be, and how
Right.
important it is to have those coexist and to support this technology and really push it and spend money on it. Basically, that's what it comes down to, is just throwing money at it to make
We
it better.
underestimate ourselves and what we can do.
We do, and especially I feel like intellectually we really underestimate ourselves, because it's not something that you can put in words exactly. It's not something that you can measure as easily as you think. Intelligence is very, very hard to measure, and in somebody who's intelligent can also be dumb in some ways. I do stupid things all the time, but all the time. So it's so hard to measure that we don't have a firm grasp on what it means yet. And I
Right.
think that that shows how that people can be very intelligent with technology. There's a true symbiotic relationship with technology like that. And that's really, really cool to see. So yeah, I did not see that story. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's fascinating.
I like that story a lot.
That is really cool. Because you would not expect that they would be so just pick up on it so quickly.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I love, back to what Brett said, I love that theory of the genetic memory.
I'm convinced that there is such a thing as
They
genetic
proved
memory.
it. There was I have to look this up, but they proved it with something. I can't freaking remember right now, but they proved it with some animal that there is some sort of like weird genetic memory that happens. Gosh, I'm gonna look that up.
Otherwise, we'd all be born into idiocy.
Well,
over
I'm
and over
sure
again.
with a lot of those animals, like deers and everything, that there is some. I was watching. What the fuck was I watching yesterday? North America, I think it is.
You're watching a continent.
Yeah, that's the
That's
TV
pretty
show.
crazy.
It's a TV show about
It
like
is.
the animals and everything.
Oh no, on Nat Geo. Yeah, I did see that.
Where like a baby deer was born, and within an hour there was a coyote around, and the baby deer knew to get low and just stay still.
Yes, I did hear that might have been what Joe Rogan was talking about, because they talked about genetic memory.
Yeah.
And there was something that like
And
it's
like
nigh impossible to teach that at that age. Like it's how
Yeah,
they can't
like-
communicate like that.
And literally, the baby deer came out of the womb, the mom licked it off, and then there's a coyote.
You know, I think there could be some truth to that because there's so much in our DNA we don't know. And the thing too is, you know,
Getting way off space, but
Yeah, we are,
Keep
but
going.
it's science,
one
you
and
know.
the same.
It
It's
is
science.
so I think that like what we thought was
deer.
instinct was more exactly. What we thought was instinct might be more of this, you know, vague genetic memory that, you know, it obviously it's not put in words, but it's just this feeling that you get that
It's intuitive.
that we share, and that's really freaky. Like we have like very little proof of that, but it's this big huge theory that's running around that I like that theory. I think it's a very cool theory.
Well-
There's a lot of our genes we have no fucking clue. You know, they used to think a lot of it was junk genes, and now that junk DNA has
We're
that
not talking
term-
about Levi's. We're talking about.
exactly. We're talking about high quality
plus how
genes.
many
Well, there
times
goes our
have you
chances
seen-
of ever having them as an advertiser.
Aw,
Just
sad
saying.
Plus, how many times have you ever heard like a new mother, and they're like, "What do we do if the baby starts doing this?" And the doctors are just like, "You'll know what to do when the time comes."
Exactly, and they do, and
Yeah.
that's you know it's for the most part they do. There's of course some outliers in that, but there's this really crazy feeling with that you know the junk DNA they've taken that term away is what I was trying to get at. They removed that because they realized there's so much what they thought some was junk DNA is actually like useful in this and that. So who knows what the fuck is in there, and who knows how that process even works. But you know, if we gave more money to NASA, they could fucking research that. So you know that would be nice. But so how's everything going with Penny4NASA then? You guys do you feel like it's picking up speed and all that? Or?
When we decided to go through our reorganization to get the nonprofit to wrap around Penny4NASA, things slowed down a bit. We needed to make sure that we were in the right place. I don't even know what the right word is for this. We needed to get our foundations right with the internet,
Right.
and make sure that we were in a place where we could push our message properly, and that we didn't flop because we were unprepared. But we've been charging ahead. Our social media group is by far the strongest part of our organization at this point in time. We have almost 17,000 likes on Facebook, which
Wow.
puts us at, actually, no, I'm looking at it right now, but we have 17,093 likes. And that puts us as, actually I haven't looked at this compared with other organizations for a little while, but that puts us at, I think, the third largest space advocacy organization on Facebook. The Planetary Society has almost 50,000 likes, so we're at
Wow.
almost half of that. And I think at this point, actually, I'm going to look it up really quick because I want to see exactly how much it is. Google Plus has a lot. We're up
Really?
above 20. Yeah, we have quite a bit. Right now, we have 48,327 pluses.
Wow.
And then Twitter's something around 1,500. So we're chugging away on social media. We're getting a lot of people involved, a lot of people that want to be in the loop of things and that are interested in seeing what happens and how they can support NASA. So we're working on trying to develop an organization that makes that possible for people, because the stuff that's out there now, there's a lot of space advocacy organizations, right? The argument could be made that we're reinventing the wheel in a lot of ways. I would argue that isn't the case. If you look around right now at space advocacy organizations, at least in the United States, they all either are geared towards children or the Apollo Gemini era folks. And that's great. But there's this entire chunk of people in the middle there from 18 to 35 that are extremely passionate and are extremely interested in science and space and have this amazing resource of the internet that they've been born into and they know how to use, and they've done to change the face of politics, and that they've done to change the face of all types of different things. We'd like to try and engage that group and mine that resource to be able to make space happen in the way that we all want to see happen. We would like society to reflect what we all know we love.
Well, that's badass, and I'm definitely on board. You know, and
Well, Space Advocates is hopefully going to be making some big waves there. We're right now developing spaceadvocates.com. If you go to spaceadvocates.com right now, it's a splash page. But we have a web development team together, and we've been working on the new website. We are very, very close to launching the first version of the website. We've scoped out about 5 different versions. And as the versions grow, we're going to get all kinds of really great interactive content. A member center. One of the big things that we want to do too is have like a leaderboard to rank members of Congress based on their voting history on space issues.
That's awesome.
So you can have a better idea of exactly who it is that is championing space in Congress.
that is really cool, because then you can target those who, you know, are not really talking about it and inform them.
Right. Absolutely. And we want their constituents to really know what's up. If you find out as a constituent that your congressperson is not supporting space, you're going to have a lot more to say about it. And you can, likewise, if your congressperson does support space, you can thank them and make sure that they know that it's very, very important that they do so.
And that could potentially influence, you know, voter decisions down the line,
Yeah,
and things like that.
absolutely.
And that, you know, that's something that they should consider as well, is that, you know, if they're looking for those votes, well, they need to listen to what a lot of people are looking at. And if that's something that, you know, catches wildfire, and hopefully it does, then they need to look at that, and they will. You know, I think that's huge in their world. So that's very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So you should be looking for that launch, by the way, in the next...
Yeah, let us know.
Within the next couple of weeks. I'm reluctant to put an actual date on it just because we're trying to make sure that everything's polished up so that our first presentation is the correct one.
Right.
And then we're going to be launching other versions as we get more capability worked into the website. So we're all volunteers, though, so stuff takes a little bit longer than it would if we were all full-time employees.
For sure, yeah. You guys are just doing this on your own. Like, it's not a full-time job just yet for you. You know, it's a lot of work anyway. You know, and huge respect for that. It's so hard to make an organization like that and make it work.
No, what do you?
One thing that's pretty.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say one thing that's pretty cool to note is that I think at this point in time, Space Advocates has 35 volunteers, I want to say.
Wow. I remember applying for it, and I never heard anything back, so I'm kind of angry at you.
I'm sorry. We ended up getting a huge response from that. We had hundreds of applications come in.
Yeah, I think that was like last July. I think July, August. I was like telling my girlfriend, I'm like, I'm so applying for this. Like, I need something to do.
It took us some time to get our shit together to try and figure out exactly how we were going to do stuff. Because there's a difference between bringing on volunteers and then actually retaining volunteers. Because if you don't have stuff for people to do, they're going to kind of float off into the distance.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make sure that we had things to give to people. But by all means, if you're still interested, you should apply. You should have your entire team apply. You should get all of your friends and family to apply.
Yeah, I mean,
especially if you guys have specific skills that you think could be useful, or you have ideas about how your skills could be useful, come tell us. And that makes it even easier on us.
Here's my pitch right now. I'm in advertising. My job is getting people in the know.
It's a good skill set to have. Like, yeah, he's good at his job. So,
Sweet.
That's his. What is that called? A reference right here.
Yeah, that's my reference. Boom.
And I'm a doctor, so
yeah. Dave's got a PhD. No, what is yours?
PharmD.
PharmD.
Excellent.
What exactly is it that you do outside of Penny4NASA? I know you're involved in like STEM, science, technology, education, mathematics, engineering, mathematics. I know you had a robotics competition and stuff that you were involved in a couple weeks ago. I mean, what originally drew you to science and space exploration, space advocates? Like, give us the journey from your point of view of like how you wound up where you're at right now and what you want to do.
God, that's a huge life story. I don't know.
Download, go.
Right. I don't know. My dad, from a very young age, got me interested in space and science in general. And I remember thinking from a really young age, when he kind of told me about space and about NASA and astronauts and all this cool stuff that people were doing outside of the planet's atmosphere, which I don't even understand what an atmosphere was at the time, but that was amazing that people weren't on this rock. But I was very, very surprised, even at the age of 4 or 5, to find out that we had been to the moon once, but weren't there anymore, and moreover weren't anywhere else either. And I remember thinking that was a really, really weird thing. And beyond that, I just loved the entire thing, and I've always kept up with space. I've always kept up with science, but I wasn't always in STEM education and STEM fields in general. And finally, a couple of years ago, I changed my major in college, and I went ahead and started doing computer science. So, yeah.
So what were you doing before that?
I was actually doing business.
Oh, yeah. See, that's what I did. I was originally going to go to Northern Illinois to be a mathematician, and then I was like, "This is too much work. I'll go into advertising."
Awesome.
I can talk like all day for a living, so let's go with the job where I can do that.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. I realized at a certain point that my goals in business didn't have a set of skills that were to be garnered from a degree, and that it was pretty much a waste of time for me to be spending all this money on getting an undergraduate degree in business, and that I should instead be doing it in something I'm curious about, because I could gain those skills in something else that I was actually curious about. Not that I wasn't curious in business, but it's not quite the same.
Yeah, no, I totally understand, because I had my quarter life crisis last year and was really kicking myself for not doing it and not just like sucking it up and pushing my way through it, because like I would have loved to have worked for NASA. I'm too tall to be an astronaut, but it would have been awesome to be to work for NASA in any respect.
Keep pushing the advocacy, and hopefully we'll all be able to go visit at some point.
Heck yeah.
I'm confident in our lifetime that we will see our first intergalactic spaceship, whether it's the 100-year Starship project or if it's actual, like the guys at NASA who actually are working on warp-type technology. I'm convinced that we will see that within our lifetime and/or make first contact. Don't label me as a nut job.
You're a nut job.
Hey, we're talking about that stuff.
I'm not crazy.
I'm not crazy, I swear. My mother had me tested.
Have you heard about the UFO over the UK, I think it was? Like, it just literally happened. It was like a cigar shape. Or no?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Or am I too new in the news?
You're too new in the news.
Damn it.
We'll just call you Huey Lewis.
In the news?
Bad pun, but I'll take it.
Boom.
Dave's slacking on the punch.
I am slacking. It's science. I get a little more serious,
Absolutely.
But no, good. Back to your schooling thing. Good for you for, like, not just going through the business thing and then being miserable, for going something that's like more passion. Like you definitely have a clear passion for this science and NASA and stuff like that, and that's a good thing. Like, that means that you're going to work harder and be better at it.
Certainly hope.
Definitely. I mean, it does. Trust me.
So where do you want to end up? When are you done with school?
I have 2 years left in my undergraduate degree. So another byproduct of switching my major was that I'm now in my 6th year of undergrad, and I have another 2 before I actually get my bachelor's degree.
Dude,
so
that is so common.
Yeah, don't feel bad. That's what I did. I took a 5-year degree. I have a biomedical science and engineering degree. It took me 5 long years. It's a 5-year degree, buddy.
You guys are all pansies. I finished college in 3 years.
Oh, must be nice.
Most people don't. Most people are like, I mean, I went through 8 years of schooling to get my pharmacy degree, and I don't even have a bachelor's degree. Like, I'm very close.
You're just
to
like,
my
screw
bachelor's.
this lower shit. Just give me my
I went
PharmD.
from high school to
Doctor.
doctorate. But I did the same
10
thing
years.
where I was changing some things and that's why I didn't get my bachelor's. I mean, I went through 4 years, but I could not have done it in 4 years. It would have been 5. So that is an extremely, extremely common thing, because it's difficult to get it in 4, especially when there's so much to do in life. Like, I
remember nitpicking tw. I graduated high school in 2007, and I remember nitpicking and being like, oh god, I just want to be done by like 2010, man. I don't think I can handle it any longer than that. And yeah.
And here you are still, and exactly, because you feel like you're gonna get burned out on it and stuff. And
I am the same way. I graduated college in 2000. When did we graduate college? 2000. Andrew, when did we graduate college?
College? You mean high school?
Our high school, yeah.
2004 for me.
2005. I was supposed to start school in like October of that year. I ended up starting in July because I just wanted to get it done.
Wow.
And ended up graduating September of 2008.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely tried to push through. I went to Portland Community College first, actually, and I did just 10 terms in a row. I didn't take summers. I just took classes the entire time through, and I got my associate's degree, and then I changed my major.
Well, that's what I mean. That happens when you change your major. But that, to me, is what college is it shouldn't be like you have to do it in 4 years to get your bachelor's. Like, you should be able to experiment a little bit, make a little mistake but really decide what you want to do with your life, because you'll have what seems like an infinite amount of time. You'll have 30 plus years to do whatever you want to do. You better really, really like what you're going to do. You know?
Exactly.
Otherwise, you're going to be like a lot of people are with midlife crises in their 40s and 50s and making life a little miserable. So I push people to, really choose what you want to do and do it, even if it's not, the most normal thing to do or the most comfortable for you and your family to have you do. It's like you kind of just got to do it, especially if you really feel like you can,
Sure, yeah, absolutely. And I'm a big advocate of not working a day in your life because you enjoy what you do. So
exactly, me too. And I don't feel like I work in my pharmacy. Like
I feel like I work. If I could do what I love for work, I would podcast every day.
Right, and
I would love to podcast.
And if you could figure out a way to make that and make,
I want to be Joe Rogan, is what I'm saying.
he doesn't make money as much as we think. Like he makes enough to keep it going, but
Joe Rogan's like, I really wished I was Brett right now.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I wish I can maintain ad servers all damn day.
Exactly. But you got to have your hat in a bunch of stuff. Like it's like a hobby, like it takes the pressure off a little bit, That's what it's for. Have you guys thought about doing a Penny4NASA podcast?
We actually have.
Dibs.
And it would be a Space Advocates podcast.
Gotcha.
It's something it's in the cards potentially at some point in the future. It hasn't been scoped into exactly when or how or why it would happen.
Right. That's podcasting for you, though. Trust me. Like, that's how we were too. We were like, what do we do?
This. The original show, 3 Guys, 1 Cup, that we do every week, was literally a spurt of the moment. Hey, let's do a podcast. Sit down and think about it for 3 seconds.
Hey, no, it was more like, hey, we're drunk. We should actually start up this podcast that we've been talking about for like a year and a half now.
Yep.
And then next thing you know, we started doing it.
It's a process, and yeah, I think that you guys could, you could do a lot of cool stuff with a podcast for Penny4NASA. You could do a lot of stuff to have people learn, to get the word out, to just talk and kind of update people on what's going on, and that would be it's a great media form. Did we just lose him?
A bunch of stuff that we really want to try to get happening soon. But a big part of that has been making sure that we can get our legal status nice and solid, and to make sure that we get our website presence nice and solid.
Yes.
We're all to this point in time, and we have a bunch of different campaigns in the works that we're going to start launching hopefully this year, and I'd like to try and make some really cool stuff happen there.
Good. That sounds awesome. Yeah, I hope that we can help support you guys and get your name out there, and I'm all for it. Like, I'm all for joining Penny4NASA and doing the hoorah. I actually already sent a thing on the air here to the local congressman, kind of just saying a couple things. And
I did it through the Planetary Society, which I'm a member of. And then
you should do it through Penny4NASA too.
I'm going to now that I know that it's there.
I mean, that's
eventually too. I'd like to mention one of the things that we really want to do is the Planetary Society. The Planetary Society is set up in a lot of ways that I really like, and one of them is that you can become a member. What I'd like to really do eventually, and we're getting close to that point now, is make it so that people can actually become a space advocate, and you can actually sign up and become a member, like become a space advocate, and that's
very cool. But I like how you have the ability to just plug in some information. It took me less than 2 minutes to say what I wanted and type it all in there and proofread it. Of course, it's very important.
Right.
and like you hit send and it's done, and you get that message across, and it's like that's very empowering to the people to be able to do that. I like that a lot. It was very cool that I could do it on air here and just take a few seconds and. I go to pennies4nasa.org and you can click on the take action button and do that. I think that's very, very cool.
Do it.
Yeah, I mean that's how you get the word out there, is by talking to Congress, and that's how things change. They do read those, they do listen. It doesn't always feel like it, they do listen to those. So
well, if they look at them, if they listen, it's a completely different story.
I mean, you got at least
There
gotta
was,
try.
there was a congressperson recently that was, not recently, within the last couple of years, that was quoted as saying during the, I think it was I think it was something in terms of healthcare back in 2010, I want to say. When was that? I think it was 2010. And they basically said that if they had as many people, I'm totally screwing up this story, but particularly whatever it was that they were talking about in terms of legislation, they said, like, I had 10 people call me about this particular issue, but for healthcare reform, I had like 10,000 people call. If more people had called about this one issue where there were only 10, I would have potentially been able to change my mind. But from what I could tell, nobody cared. It was more or less what they were saying,
right?
Because nobody was voicing their opinion.
What you need is, like, mass media, social media for sure, but media in, like, the things that the vast majority of Americans look at, ABC, CNN, Fox News. You need that coverage as well to do a piece on it, to snag, an older generation and get them on board as well. The generation that may not necessarily be online and on social media and on Facebook and Twitter and Google Plus. Like, there's definitely I think an avenue of people to get to. It's just getting to them, and I think that takes a little bit of time to get your name out there. I mean, you can't build it overnight.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that.
Like, in that realm, I didn't know until I started emailing you and harassing you to get you on the show that that Space Advocates was the overarching thing for Penny4NASA. I just always assumed it was just Penny4NASA. So yeah.
Yeah, that's very
just proving the point.
That's one of the things that's been interesting about this entire process. We started with this amazing campaign that has a huge amount of notoriety, and now we're trying to build an organization around that thing that has almost no notoriety. So it's an interesting process. I definitely don't fault anybody for not knowing about Space Advocates yet, but they will. But they will,
yeah. And I didn't know it before. I mean, I kind of heard about it, but now I know about it, and I'm on board for sure.
So one question that has to be asked.
Uh-oh.
Kirk or Picard?
Oh, shit. He went there.
He did go there.
He did.
Picard.
High five. He says it so sadly. He's like, own that shit, man.
Picard.
No, I was afraid of the whip. I don't know. Anybody fighting out with me about that?
Oh, we won't fight.
No. I'm Picard all the way.
Here, ask me.
That's good. I was actually named after Jean-Luc Picard. If you'll notice.
I was going to ask you if your parents were trying to
serious?
make you a saint. John, Luke. I was waiting for Matthew and then Zeller.
I know, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah. My dad is a super Star Trek nerd.
That's
awesome.
He told the nurses at the hospital when I was born, "You may be holding in your arms a future starship captain."
Holy shit. And he meant like Hollywood, and now he meant like literally.
Yeah.
You could be in space with Penny's
There's my
Vanessa.
little baby face like blushing. I was like,
my
oh God, Dad.
That is so awesome.
That is hilarious.
He sounds like a cool guy. That's funny as hell.
So, what's your favorite NASA project then? Are you excited about John Webb Telescope? Are you sad that Kepler's broken? Are you excited that they're trying to fix
I'm very sad
it?
that Kepler's broken, actually. I'm extremely sad.
Darn those
that was
rotor balls.
An amazing piece of technology. I hope that we can get something up soon to replace it. I'm excited for the James Webb as well. But I'm excited about the restructuring of kind of how things are being done in space in general, and what that means for NASA in the future. Because NASA, like I was saying before, they kind of have to maintain this low Earth orbit area, and that's frustrating because they have a lot of money.
Goldilocks zone, if you will.
They don't have enough money, but a lot of their money is being spent maintaining that presence. And one thing to get straight as well. NASA is a government organization. They are not a business. They are not in this to make a profit. They're not in this to minimize costs as much as possible. They're in this to break boundaries, and they're the only type of organization that can do that. Governments are the only kind of organization that can go and break these sorts of boundaries that have no information about them. you can't make a business case for going to Mars when you've never been there. You can't say that you're going to get a return on investment when you don't even know that you can make it there. And that is the power of being able to have a government agency that can do things like that. However, once you actually get to that point and you know how to do it, it's up to us to kind of usher some of those things off to commercial, to allow them to kind of take the reins to do it more efficiently, and to have us be able to pay them to do it.
Kind of put the first toe in the water, and then let everybody else be like tell them, everybody, the temperature's okay, everybody jump in the pool.
Right. No, NASA is definitely that spearheading kind of organization. And they have, because it is such an extremely difficult thing to do, it's taken a lot longer. But what we're seeing now is corporations are finally being able to take over some of these reins, in large part due to the grants that NASA has been given through the Obama administration. Through I think it was like 2009 the first time that they did it, through the Commercial Orbital Transportation Services contracts. And they've been, I can't even remember, it's some $1 billion worth of funding that's gone out to be able to develop these technologies. And that's going to change the face of space exploration as we see it, because it's going to free up NASA's time and resources to be able to go after things like Kepler missions and actually bringing people to Mars and things like that.
Do you think we'll see it in our lifetime?
Yes, absolutely.
Mars in our lifetime?
Without a
I
hesitation.
have no question. I have no question about it.
Well, I said I have 100% confidence that we'll meet extraterrestrials and be intergalactic by then. So I guess landing on Mars in our lifetime isn't that hard to commit to.
You've made it easy in comparison.
This guy's a fucking idiot, but yes, we can be on Mars.
One thing too, just to keep, I find this like an interesting conversation too, because there's obviously a difference between interplanetary, interstellar, and intergalactic.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, interstellar is what I meant. I'm sorry.
I'm assuming that's what you meant.
Yes.
I'm assuming that's what you meant. Because yeah, intergalactic is going to be.
As much as my inner Stargate nerd is going, let's visit the Pegasus Galaxy.
Yeah.
I'm totally okay with that. But no, interstellar is what I meant.
Galactic baby steps, Brett.
Baby
It's pretty
steps.
sick. I remember at one point in time nerding out at like 3 o'clock in the morning several years ago, playing with this calculator that I found on some website that helps you to compensate for time dilation when you start to approach the speed of light.
Uh-huh.
And I ended up crunching some kind of figure that, like, if you were able to speed up to 90% the speed of light and then turn around halfway and slow down at the speed of light, you could get to Alpha Centauri, which is about 4.5 light years away, in like 11 months.
4.3 pwned.
Wow.
4.3.
So wait. I got lost in that. You explain that again. So if you go speed of light,
90% the speed of light.
90% speed of light one way, and then turn around and do it back again?
Right. It's so you
accelerate to 90%.
Braking is just speeding up backwards.
Okay.
And that's pretty much what you're doing. You're just applying the brakes by doing the same thing you were doing, but facing the other direction.
Acceleration is positive and negative. There's no such thing as deceleration.
Have you called NASA and see if they know about this? I mean, it's a little bit above my head. They're like, duh, carry the T. You know?
Well, the fastest thing the fastest man-made object is the New Horizons, which will be passing Pluto next year as like an extreme drive-by photo shoot, for the most part, is the fastest object we've ever created that will have interstellar capability.
It's about 60,000 miles an hour.
Yeah. Which
is not a percent of light speed.
It's like 0.00005%.
Right.
Yeah,
like add like a dozen more zeros.
Slow.
It's
having
slow.
said that, yeah, doing 90% light speed is like way in the future. But if you could do it, let's just pretend that that's not a problem anymore. You could use the fact that time dilation happens to be the. I'm trying to remember exactly how it works, but it's like for the people that are on Earth, time is going a lot slower. For the people on the ship, it's only been 11 months. So
the time dilation effect would work where it would be a much from the perspective of the people on the ship, it would be 11 months. But for people on Earth, in time dilation perspective, it would still be like several hundred years.
Right.
I think. Well, if you were going 90% the speed of light, it would only be, in this particular scenario that I've dreamed up, you would only be like 5 years on Earth. But it would be 11 months on the ship.
Wow.
which is nice because then you don't have to worry about them aging for 5 years or bringing 5 years worth of food.
But
Right.
but then you do have to worry about extreme levels of radiation.
Well, there's that, but that's
We'll just have some babies born with 12 fingers. It's cool. Don't worry about it.
Let's hope that by the time we know how to speed up to 90% the speed of light, that we've already replaced all of the organs that matter.
basically
High
it's
five.
science. Yeah, it's just like we'll just throw science at it. You know,
Just throw science at it.
exactly.
Hey, so I pulled up the feed of this on live stream so that I could actually look at everybody while we're doing this, and I noticed that there's like a Minecraft sword in the middle of the table.
There's
Yeah.
a little, it's a pickaxe.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Isn't that badass? I haven't played as much, but I was a huge Minecraft fan when it was in beta and alpha.
Excellent.
Yeah, I way overplayed it, so I got that a while ago. I love Minecraft.
Oh,
though.
I did too.
Yeah, it's a great creative game. It really, really is.
We
Yeah,
had
uh,
some great creations.
Yeah, I think it's a great tool.
We what did we build? We built I built a baseball stadium from like nothing.
Yeah, just from starting building it.
There was the Futurama Planet Express,
Yep.
the building. What else did we build?
Well, we built.
Stonehenge.
Yeah, you built Stonehenge, but we built a ton of stuff. You know, like we went at pixel art for a while. Yeah, Minecraft's a great freaking game. I don't play it as much anymore, sadly.
I have such a low attention span when it comes to it. Like I used to be a really big game nerd.
Yeah.
And I got to a certain point where I get like, it almost sucks. It's almost like responsibility has like seeped its way into my like fun center of my
Yes.
brain. Because I can't have fun with it for more than about an hour, and then I just feel like shit, and I have to go back to work.
Welcome to being an adult, because I'm in the same way where, like, you
It
know,
sucks.
I used to play video games like a motherfucker, and now it's like, you know, unless the game is like Last of Us or something like that, where I really, really get involved in it. Like, I play a game for like an hour or two, and then I get antsy, like you say, and you're like, I need to fucking do something. You know, I need to like go, even if it's just watching. Like, you just feel like it's so weird. It sucks because I used to play Minecraft for, you know, days on end with friends and stuff like that.
Oh my god, I can't tell you how many hours I've wasted on
Right,
that
I
game.
haven't though. I haven't played with the Derp guys because I can't invest that time anymore. Like, I just cannot.
So you know what this means, you guys?
What's that?
We're gonna have to throw a Minecraft server on spaceadvocates.com.
Oh my god!
Do it.
We could build the TARDIS.
There you go. And you can have it like be all
I actually
space themed.
I was actually thinking about that yesterday as I was watching Doctor Who. I go, how awesome would it be to build like the actual TARDIS in Minecraft?
People have. I know.
No, us do it.
Us do it. That'd be really cool. But people have built that stuff already. People have built working TARDISes. TARDISi, where they teleport you in the game.
That's pretty cool.
It's very cool. People are sick with that stuff with mods.
But
and
can
stuff
you
now.
roll back the server in it?
Of course you can. You control time. You know, that timey-wimey stuff. You know, like
Timey-wimey, swimey-wimey.
exactly. You are the Time Lord.
Yeah.
But yeah, one quick thing I forgot to mention at the top of the show because I'm an idiot. If you go to geekify.tv and you click on the On It banner,
At the top of the page.
the top of the page, thank you. You can go on and buy their stuff. They are one of our sponsors. And they are
they're not our
lovely.
sponsors. We
They
are
are one of
partnered
our-
with them.
Dude, they are one of our
I don't want to get
partners.
sued.
Oh, come on.
We
On
are
It is so
partnered
laid back.
with On It Labs.
It's ONNIT. They're a really, really good supplement company that we all take their shit. But they basically, you know, we talk about Alpha Brain, which is a great cognitive enhancer. It basically explains to people it's vitamins for your brain. I take it myself every day, along with their, you know, New Mood, which is another great 5-HTP for mood. Literally makes
You feel better.
You feel better. Like, you just feel more balanced and stuff like that on it. And, you know, if you miss it, it's not the end of the world. I've missed Alpha Brain a couple times, and I don't die.
I feel like hell the night. No, I'm just
Well,
kidding.
you don't. I don't feel
Just
100%.
kidding, totally
Like, you know,
kidding.
for my job, I feel like an all-star when I go to my job or when we do a show and stuff like that, and I take it. Like, you feel it. What it does basically is just gives you vitamins for your brain so that you can be your best potential. It won't make you better than your best potential. It gets you to your best, so you feel your best at that time.
It
and
gets
that's
you
really
to
important.
climax. Would
It
you
gets
say?
I just finish at work. I just finish over everything. But no, it just I don't know. It just this little bit of this enhancement. So I really recommend Alpha Brain and all their other stuff. So if you go on there, click on their banner. They do pay us money, so we have to say that. But I do take all their shit, and I've given
I
them
do.
more than enough money. So, you know.
What's
I
the
love
other
them.
way you get there?
onit.geekify.tv.
Oh
You'll go
shit!
right
Look
there.
at you with the.
I remembered.
I was like,
Andrew remembered something.
I was
High
like,
five.
drive to Texas and go to their headquarters. You know, I don't know. Which I do want to visit one time because Aubrey Marcus is the president and he's amazing of it. So yeah, go to there, click on their shit, buy their stuff.
Yeah, we totally skipped right over that.
Yeah, I was just so excited to talk about pennies for NASA
Yeah.
that I was like, fuck the advertisements right now.
Penny singular.
Penny.
Pennies
Well,
would be awesome, but
I'm
penny is what
talking
we're shooting
pennies.
for.
I say many, many pennies of $1 to NASA of the budget.
You got a little ahead of yourself.
I did. I got a little excited. I did. I reached for the. I reached for the stars, if you will.
Oh, pun.
Exactly.
Another bad pun for tonight.
Terrible. Well, thank you, John Zeller, for coming on. I really appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
This was awesome. You have a great organization you're building, and I hope that we can help be a part of it. And definitely going to be talking about it more on like Three Guys One Cup and our flagship show, and definitely want to have you back on Science again.
No, we should
Absolutely,
do.
man.
Once we finally lock down these JPL guys, we should totally have you back on so you can grill them.
So I can grill them?
Yes.
I may have met some of these guys already. Last year I actually went to the Curiosity landing at JPL.
Did you really?
It was awesome.
You suck. I wish I could have been there. That would have been awesome. The 6 minutes of hell or 7 minutes of hell or whatever it was.
It was
That would have
pretty
been
awesome.
terrifying.
It was pretty awesome. It was one of the NASA tweet-ups, which I think I may be misinformed about this, but I think that right now NASA tweet-ups are postponed because of sequestration.
Lame. Well, the next one, I think we do a science remote and we all fly out to JPL in Pasadena and go.
Done. Let's do it. That'd be
It's
awesome.
in Pasadena, right? I'm not hallucinating that?
It's in Pasadena, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good.
Very awesome.
I remembered something.
Well, go.
It's been a long day.
Go to his website. It's
sad.
Penny4, the number 4, NASA.org.
Write your congressman, write your senators.
You can write your
tell 'em-
congressman through his website. Like, he makes it so easy. He basically writes it for you. You just put your name and all that information, and boom, like your congressman is written. So
I did it.
It's a no-brainer. You did it. I did it. Everybody do it now. And get the word out there. Get money. Get more money for NASA from the budget. That's how we get change. And we've said it a million times. And I really believe in it now. You've convinced me, John. So I am on board. I've already
Good.
followed you on Facebook and Twitter. So, doing the social media thing. But thank you for coming on, man. Anything else you want to plug or say?
Just keep checking back at spaceadvocates.com. There's going to be some major changes coming by.
Yeah, when that comes out for real, we'll promote it. We'll have it. We'll show it on the show and stuff. We'll have a full thing.
If you
on
have
it.
banner ads or anything, send them to me. I'll put them on our site.
Yeah, for sure.
Sounds
We'll definitely
good.
Do that. That's Brett's territory right
That's
there.
my territory. Advertising!
Yeah, and hire Brett. He's a good guy. Hire him up. Thank you again for coming on, John. Visit us and all that fun shit. Anything else we got to say, guys?
No, just stick around while we wrap up. We'll chat a
Yeah,
little
we'll
bit
talk to you after we get off air. But
Cool.
all right, thank you, everybody. This has been a second episode of Science.
5 months in the making.
Yeah, we're gonna have it be a little less than 5 minutes next time.
Hopefully.
But,
Did you say 5 minutes or 5 months?
5
5
months.
months.
5
I thought you
months.
said 5 minutes.
Well, we try to
Sounded
get
like it.
we try to get good, strong guests on, and they're a little more difficult because
Smart
science-
people are hard to find.
They are. Science is hard. Maybe
Maybe it's just where we live.
everybody like John is doing sciencey stuff, so it's like they don't have a lot of time to come and bullshit with us. But we appreciate it when they do. So we'll announce more stuff with science in the future. So thank you all, and I am Dave Mankoff.
I'm Brett Kaminsky,
Andrew Lipinski.
Edgar.
and you are, sir.
John Zeller.
Thank you.
Yeah, you are.
Thank you.
Have a good night.